I've always been the type of person who would open my home to anyone in need. So when my sister-in-law, Kelly, fell on some hard times, it was a no-brainer to have her come stay at our house. She had just gone through this messy divorce, and she needed a place to, get back on her feet. I wanted to help her out, especially since she has a little boy that's about the same age as my son. I thought it'd be good for them to have each other while they're going through this tough time. At first, everything was fine. We set her up in the guest room, and the boys got along great. It was actually kind of nice to have another adult here during the daytime, especially when my husband worked late hours. Kelly seemed grateful, and I was just so happy that we could be there for her. But after a few weeks, things started to change. It was little things at first, like rearranging my kitchen cabinets, setting the thermostat to a different temperature than what we normally keep it at, telling the kids to follow her rules. So I brushed it off, thinking she's probably just trying to make herself more comfortable. But then it got worse, because then she started to criticize how I kept my household. If I let my son watch more than 30 minutes of TV, she'd make these passive-aggressive comments about screen time. Even if I just gave him a snack before dinner, she would have some sort of comment, judgment, criticism to make on my parenting. One morning, I woke up to find that Kelly had completely reorganized my entire pantry. She didn't ask, she just did it. I was already feeling a little frustrated with her overstepping, and then I wake up trying to get my breakfast, hi honey, and I can't find anything. And I asked her why she moved everything around, and she just shrugged and said, "This just seemed to make more sense." No apology, no acknowledgement that she had crossed a boundary. This was the moment that I realized things had gotten too far. This wasn't her house, but she was acting like she was in charge. It wasn't just the pantry either. She had taken over the entire household. She was telling both kids what to eat, when to sleep, even how to play. It was exhausting, and I felt like I had no control over my own home. But the breaking point came when she tried to discipline my son. I heard her scolding him for not picking up his toys fast enough. So as I'm trying to step in, she starts reprimanding me, saying, "You're too lenient with him, and he's never going to learn anything if you don't get more strict." I couldn't believe she was criticizing my parenting like that, and in front of my own child. What would you do if someone came into your home and started making all the rules? Do you have family members that just overstep boundaries like that? Like, what do you do? Because I'll tell you what I did. I was livid. How dare she tell me how to raise my own son? I felt like a guest in my own house, and every day it was harder to keep my cool. I didn't want to start a huge fight, but I knew that if I didn't say anything, I was going to explode. I was walking around on eggshells thinking if I said the wrong thing, I'd create a massive family rift. It wasn't just about the toys or the pantry, it was about respect. She wasn't respecting me as the head of my own household, and that hurt. I had opened my home to her when she needed help, and instead of gratitude, all I received was judgment and unsolicited advice. It felt like she didn't see me as an equal, and she definitely didn't see me as a competent parent, and that stung. I was so torn, because on one hand, I know that she was going through a lot and needed help. But on the other hand, I can't let her keep undermining me in my own home. It was a line she shouldn't have crossed, and I needed to figure out a way to just knock it off, to stop it without making everything worse. After a sleepless night, I decided I just had to confront her. So the next morning, while the kids were playing in the living room, I sat her down in the kitchen. My heart was pounding, and so as calmly as I could, I said, "Kelly, I need to talk to you about something that's been bothering me." And so she looks up from her coffee, a little surprised. I took a deep breath, and I continued, "I've noticed that you've been making a lot of decisions about the household without asking me first. I appreciate how you're trying to help, but this is my house, and I need to be the final decision maker when it comes to how things are run around here." And she just blinks at me, kind of taken aback, and is like, "I was just trying to help you," like defensive. She's like, "I didn't realize it was such a big deal." And I nodded, trying to keep my cool. And I said, "I get that, but it is a big deal. When you move things around the house, or when you tell the children how to behave, it makes me feel like you don't respect how I run things. So I need you to understand that while you're staying here, I'm the one who makes the rules. I'm the mom, and I make decisions as his parent." She was quiet for a moment, and I could see things processing in her head, and then she said, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overstep." And she went on to say, "I've just been so stressed, I didn't think about how my actions were affecting you." And I felt this wave of relief. I was so glad that she wasn't angry and that she didn't storm out. Instead, she actually listened, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like we were on the same page. I realized that Kelly wasn't trying to take control of the house. She was just really stressed with everything that she had going on that she acted out in controlling ways. It made me think just how family dynamics can get so complicated when stress is running high. I do need to set clear boundaries, but I also need to keep in mind of what she was going through. And maybe we both needed to just cut each other a little slack. After that conversation, things started getting better. Kelly backed off, and although she sometimes still offers advice, it's in a much more respectful way. She started asking before making changes around the house, and whenever it came to the boys, she lets me take the lead. It wasn't perfect. We still had moments where we butted heads, but at least now I feel like I got my home back, and that's all that really mattered to me. Kelly is still living with us now, but we found a much better balance. I've learned that setting boundaries doesn't mean being mean or creating distance. It means protecting what's important. My home is my space, and my family is my responsibility. I'm glad I stood up for that. And going forward, I hope that Kelly and I can continue to support each other without stepping on each other's toes.